It's 11 at night. The house is quiet. You're lying flat on the bed and your eyes won't close. Nothing is actually wrong. The fridge hums 2 rooms away. A car passes outside. Your neighbor's dog shifts on its chain. And somehow your ears catch every single one after another, like your body is still on duty. You call it anxiety. You call it being wired wrong. But what if it isn't a malfunction at all? What if it's your ears doing exactly the job they were built for, inside a world that stopped needing them to do it this way? In a moment, you'll see the exact calibration your ancestors' nervous systems ran on, and why yours is still quietly running the same program tonight. And by the end, you'll understand the one deliberate practice that let ancient humans reset that system on purpose, and why forcing yourself to just relax is the opposite of what your body is actually asking for. Because to understand why your ears won't stop scanning, you have to go back to a time when silence wasn't empty at all. For nearly all of human history, silence was not empty. It was information. A snapped twig 40 feet away. A bird going quiet mid-song. Your ancestors' ears evolved inside a world where sound was rare enough that every sound meant something. Their nervous systems didn't just tolerate quiet, they were built around it, calibrated to treat a still environment as safe and a sudden noise as a signal worth full attention. That calibration took hundreds of thousands of years to set. It didn't ask permission to change. It's still running in you right now, tonight, in a world that almost never goes quiet. Anthropologists who've studied small-scale foraging societies describe an acoustic environment that modern ears can barely imagine. Long stretches with nothing but wind, insects, distant water. In that world, the body could afford to power down between alerts. Your ancestors' baseline arousal, the resting hum of the nervous system, was tuned to a soundscape with huge gaps in it. Rest wasn't a discipline they practiced. It was the default setting, because there was so little competing for their attention. That's the part worth sitting with. Calm wasn't something they achieved. It was something the world simply allowed. Now hold that against your own day. Traffic, notifications, HVAC hum, overlapping conversations in every cafe. None of it is loud enough to hurt your ears, and yet your body treats it the way it once treated a rustle in the grass, as a potential threat requiring a decision. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a predator's footstep and a delivery truck idling outside your window. It only knows sound equals possible danger, danger equals attention, attention equals arousal. Multiply that by every hour you're awake, and you get a body that never fully exhales. This is the part that tends to bring relief once people actually hear it. You are not weak, and you are not broken. Your system is doing exactly what it was built to do. Respond to acoustic input as if it matters. The problem isn't the response. The problem is the volume of inputs it's now responding to. A threat detection system designed for a handful of meaningful sounds a day is now processing thousands. That's not a flaw in you. That's a mismatch between your biology's manufacturing date and your environment's release date. Researchers who study hearing and stress physiology have found something worth pausing on. It isn't just loud noise that raises cortisol and heart rate. It's unpredictable noise. A sound you can't locate, can't explain, can't finish listening to before the next one starts. Foragers rarely lived with that kind of noise. Almost everything they heard they could trace to a source within seconds. Your modern environment offers the opposite. Sound with no clear origin, no clear end, arriving faster than your nervous system can resolve it. It's not the decibels wearing you down. It's the unfinished business of every sound you never got to identify. So here's a real question worth turning over, maybe even in the comments. When was the last time you sat somewhere and could actually name every sound you heard? Not silence exactly, full identification. Your ancestors did that constantly, almost without noticing because their world made it easy. Today it might take real effort just to get there for 60 seconds. That gap between what your ears take in and what your mind can process is a big part of what modern anxiety is quietly built on. Here's where it gets genuinely interesting. Some hunter-gatherer and small-scale societies studied by anthropologists don't treat silence as neutral background. They treat it as an active resource, almost a tool. Extended quiet before hunting, deliberate stillness in some documented practices. Not because silence felt peaceful in some abstract way, but because it let the nervous system reset enough to notice what mattered. Silence, to them, wasn't the absence of information, it was the condition that made real information possible to detect at all. That reframes the whole idea of rest. Modern advice often treats quiet as a luxury, a spa-day indulgence you earn after enough productivity. Your ancestors treated it as maintenance, as necessary as eating, because a nervous system that never got its baseline back couldn't detect the one sound that actually mattered, the one that meant real danger or real opportunity. Without recovery, the whole system loses its edge. Constant stimulation didn't just tire them out, it would have made them worse at surviving, which is exactly what it's doing to you, just in a different currency. And here's the turn worth sitting with. Your anxious body isn't malfunctioning when it reacts to modern noise. It's succeeding at an old job in the wrong century. It's still trying to protect you the same way it protected someone standing in tall grass 80,000 years ago, scanning for the one sound that meant something was near. The tragedy isn't that your nervous system is too sensitive. It's that it's exactly as sensitive as it was built to be, dropped into an environment producing 1,000 times more raw input than it ever evolved to sort through. Which means the fix isn't to convince your body to stop caring about sound. It never will, and trying to override that is exactly why forcing yourself to relax so often backfires. The more ancient move is different. Give the system what it's actually asking for, deliberately, in small doses. Real quiet, long enough to finish processing what it's holding. Not meditation as performance, just the same maintenance your ancestors got for free from their environment, and that you now have to go out and find on purpose. So the next time your chest tightens in a room that seems perfectly calm, you'll know what's actually happening. It isn't a disorder announcing itself. It's a very old, very competent system, still listening for a world that mostly disappeared, and still doing its best to keep you safe inside the noise that replaced it. What would change if you stopped treating that reaction as a flaw and started treating it as evidence of exactly how well built you already are? Tell me in the comments, what's the loudest thing your nervous system still reacts to, even when you know you're safe?